Ben Rothlisberger, a Steeler since the day he was drafted, is receiving the NFL media love treatment as it appears his career in Pittsburgh will conclude at season's end. However, the laughter he shares on television, the appearances in front of the camera, and the fawning those in bed with the league espouse is just one side of the coin. This man is utter trash, and no one should be afraid to say it.
The young woman who accused Ben Rothlisberger of sexual assault said she tried to get away from the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback and made it clear she did not want to have sex with him.
In newly released police documents, the accuser said one of Rothlisberger's bodyguards sat me on a stool. He left and Ben came back and exposed himself.
The woman, who admitted later she was drunk, says the 6'5", 240-pound Rothlisberger came into the hallway exposing himself and then forced himself on her in this bathroom.
He followed me in and shut the door. That's when he proceeded to have sex with me, and the whole time I said, no, we really don't need to do this. This isn't okay. We shouldn't be doing this. Then he just got up and left.
She said she was afraid to fight back because she had noticed that Rothlisberger had what she called a short temper.
I didn't want to fight him, but the whole time I was like, this isn't okay. No, we don't need to do this. He said it is okay.
You see, Big Ben has a past, a very troubling past.
I did not sexually assault Andrew McNulty.
Rothlisberger with serious boomer energy, one that sounds quite familiar.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never.
See what I mean? Rothlisberger is another example of many within the NFL who protect their own as long as the product is good enough to produce.
We love Big Ben. Big Ben's a friend of mine. Big Ben's great. We play golf together.
In 2006, ex-Trump mistress Stormy Daniels said she went to a nightclub where she was ushered into VIP where 45 and Rothlisberger were talking. Trump eventually suggested the quarterback walk Daniels back to her room. Rothlisberger eventually asked, "Do you come to Pittsburgh a lot?" Daniels wrote before the two exchanged phone numbers, "Is this your real number or your hoe phone?" I asked as I typed. Trump and Ben both laughed, and Ben recited a second number. "I'm not going to call you on your hoe phone." At the end of the night, Daniels said Trump asked Rothlisberger to escort her back to her room. She added that Rothlisberger asked her for a goodnight kiss, which she refused, and that Rothlisberger pushed lightly on her door as they stood outside it. At my door, Ben said, "Oh, can I see your room?" "I'm really tired," I said, awkwardly holding the key card. He looked at the card until I put it in, and I didn't open the door all the way, just enough for me to slip through. As I got behind it, keeping my face out, I noticed he'd raised his hand to rest it on the door. He pushed lightly, I pushed lightly. Did he know he was leaning on the door? Was he just steadying himself? "Can I come in?" he said. "I'm just so tired," I said. "How about a goodnight kiss?" "Well, no, I am here with your friend," I said, literally trying to play the trump card. "Come on," he said. She writes, she suddenly increased the pressure enough to slam the door. "He stood outside, not leaving," Daniel said of Rothlisberger. Every now and again he'd knock, wrapping his knuckles in a line low along the door. "Come on," he repeated in a sing-song voice. "I won't tell." Daniel said she was shaken by the experience. "I was terrified. I am rarely terrified," she writes.
He is a strong guy, and he's a good guy, too. Big Ben.
In 2009, Andrea McNulty filed a civil suit against Ben and 8 employees of the Harrah's Hotel in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. The suit alleged that Rothlisberger sexually violated her in his room at the hotel in July 2008. The suit also alleged that the 8 employees had aided in covering up the assault. At the time of the alleged assault, McNulty was an employee of Harrah's, where Rothlisberger was staying, and according to her complaint, Rothlisberger asked her to come to his room to fix his TV. After she entered his room, she alleged he grabbed her, held her against her will, pushed her on the bed, and essayed her. According to her complaint, McNulty communicated her objection and lack of consent and begged, "Please don't." After the attack, according to the complaint, McNulty struggled with depression and entered a mental health institution. The case was later settled out of court. The finances were never disclosed.
I would never, ever force myself on a woman. I'm going to fight to protect my family and my reputation.
In 2010, the Steelers quarterback faced more accusations of wrongdoing, this time in Milledgeville, Georgia, some 80 miles from Atlanta. The 20-year-old college student told police that a bodyguard escorted her to a back room in the Capital City nightclub in Milledgeville shortly before an encounter with Mr. Rothlisberger in a dingy bathroom led to the SA allegations. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette added, and a friend of hers, Nicole Biancafor, claimed that a third woman was taken away by a bodyguard of Ben's when she tried to open the locked bathroom door. Biancafor, then a student at Georgia College and State University, told police that Rothlisberger took advantage of her friend. Quote, he knew how drunk she was. Although his accuser asked the DA to not pursue charges because of what they called a very intrusive personal experience due to the extraordinary media attention it would receive, the Baldwin County DA announced he wouldn't pursue criminal charges anyway. An honest answer is, I would still be announcing the same result. We based on the evidence here, don't have enough evidence to prosecute. The NFL would initially suspend him for 6 games, later reducing to a measly 4. He went on to lead the Steelers to the Super Bowl that year, losing to the Green Bay Packers. But leave it to those calling his games to completely dance around these subjects and praise him. It is the good old boys club, and guess what? They do this every single time a member of the league is successful. Ben Roethlisberger made mistakes, according to Brian Greasy. If he's so worthy of praise, his mistakes would be talked about openly and honestly instead of some youthful indiscretion, wrote 670 The Score's Herb Lawrence. He is simply what people hate about sports, and the NFL specifically. His alleged crimes, gross and horrific, glossed over because he could play at an all-pro level for a cornerstone franchise whose owners are revered. And the broadcasters would prefer we forget about all of it as they stock the league full of billions or make the faintest of allusions to terrible actions to still barely grasp onto the label of being a news organization or journalistic entity. If you'd like to hear more thought-provoking content like TYT Sports on Facebook and to help in my journey to keep media independent, go to tyt.com/Rick.